Welcome back to another segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. Today, we're here with Ask Judy, and I'm going to be taking some more of your questions. I try to pick up various different questions from the comments below. So I'm sorry if I don't get to yours, or sometimes I'll just answer them directly in the comments, but however it goes, I do try to read and answer as many comments as possible and then pick some up here on Ask Judy. This question is from LoJ, who says, I can't remember the title, but it was the episode when Ralph was taking John Boy to shoot his first turkey. In this episode, Ralph Waite was wrestling with a bear. How was that done? Well, it was a combination of there being stock footage of a bear, that was the real bear, and then they had a bear suit. And there was someone who was meant to be wearing the bear suit, and they were trying, and it just wasn't looking realistic. And John Walmsley said, well, let me do it. So John ended up putting on the bear suit. So the wrestling that you see between Ralph and the bear is actually John Walmsley. Designs Billy asked, why do they shoot scenes out of order? Well, it really has to do with budget and the cost of moving equipment around. So if we were, let's say the first scene is in front of the house and they have all that equipment out there, and say all it is John Boy drives up, he gets out of his car, he goes into the house. Next scene is in the living room of the Walton house. Well, that would mean packing up all that equipment and then transporting it all back to the sound stage, unloading it all, setting up, doing the lighting and everything to shoot John Boy enters the living room. Maybe John Boy says, Mama, Daddy, and Mama says, I'm upstairs. John Boy heads up the stairs to go upstairs. Next scene is in the bedroom. Now they have to move all the equipment from the living room into the bedroom. It's not so big a move, but let's say after that, they walk back downstairs and go into the kitchen. Now they have to move all the equipment into the kitchen. Now let's say the next thing is out in the barn. Now they'd have to pack up all that equipment and run it on out to the barn. So it just doesn't make sense to keep moving equipment around like that. When you have live shows, like 3-camera shows, they have all of the sets lined up in a row. So the camera just basically shifts over and every single set is already pre-lit. So the camera just moves into the next position, shoots, moves into the next position, shoots. Whereas for us, because we had one camera and one set of equipment, then basically each time we moved to another set, everything had to move, everything had to be lit again. So that's why we shot out of order. It can also make a difference within an existing set. If, let's say we're even in the kitchen, there are day scenes and night scenes. Things will look different in the lighting if it's day as opposed to night. Therefore, they will shoot all of the day sequences first, perhaps, or all of the night sequences and then the day sequences. Those types of things will happen if it's more of a lighting change. Sometimes it'll have to do with, for us, with the children and what time the children came in because of how many hours the children could work. So even within a given set, it might be, well, let's do some things the children aren't in, and then we'll do the stuff with the children. Then when the children have to go home, then we can finish up with some things the children aren't in. So all of those things came into play in putting together the schedule for a day. So hope that answers your question about why we don't shoot in order. It would be much easier for the actors to shoot in order, because for us then we always have to keep track of what day is it, what's already happened, where are we emotionally within the episode, things like that. And that sort of leads me into the next question from Fiona, who says, I would love to know how long it would take you to prepare for an emotionally trying scene, and did those scenes affect you for a long time afterwards? Yeah, everybody had their own process for how they prepared for emotional scenes. It depended. If we'd just come from something that was really lighthearted and funny and everything, I would need a little bit of time to sort of switch gears emotionally. But there is always time between scenes because you do have to move the camera and to a degree change the lighting, probably change wardrobe, perhaps run by and get your hair and makeup checked. So there would be some time in there, which I found was plenty of time to sort of reset emotionally, take a look at the scene again if I need to, just reacquaint myself with where my character was at emotionally. If I knew that I had a lot of emotional work during a day, I would pace myself. I would know how much I could sort of step away from it during the day. Sometimes between takes, or even I would kind of just go off by myself and not sort of come completely out of that emotional state or the awareness of the circumstances I was dealing with. But again, each actor has their own way of doing it. That makes a nice segue into the question from Dutch, who wanted to know what it was like to be on the Walton set and then be back in real life after filming. And did it feel unusual sometimes? Was Mary Ellen's character easy to go in and out of? Did Mary Ellen sometimes leave set subconsciously? No, I've always been an actor who can step into my character and step out of my character. I have never really found myself taking the character home. Some characters are closer to me in nature. I think Mary Ellen was a little closer to me than maybe some other characters because I started playing the character when I was young, and there were similarities like being a tomboy and things like that. Being a bit of a rebel, was something that was easy for me, although I'm not particularly rebellious in real life. But the confidence and the independence, all of that is very much a part of who I am, which is probably why it was such a good fit in terms of the casting. If it's a character that's less like me, it might take a little bit more work to step into the character, but dropping characters for me, even if it's been a really emotional day, is pretty easy. Tex asked about how they did scenes with the rain. For example, in season 1, in the episode The Boy from the CCC, where they had the raccoon that died and we buried the raccoon in the rain. So rain was never in Southern California, real rain. So they would bring these really, really tall rainbirds out, and they would put them up high out of sight of the cameras, and then they would turn them on, just like big high sprinklers. And they would have them on while we filmed, and then they would turn them off between takes, and when we were done, away they'd go. So if need be, they would cover the camera to protect, and any other equipment to protect it from the rain. But the rain could be very specifically located just so that the camera could see it. But quite often, it had to be coming down pretty strong for the camera to actually read that there was rain. So we usually got pretty darn wet, which is interesting because I spent a lot of years filming in Vancouver, up in Canada, where it does rain a lot, but not always heavily. And I did any number of scenes where there was a light rain going on all the time, but the camera couldn't tell it was raining. So they would have to run in and put umbrellas over the actors in between takes to try and keep us from our clothes and our hair from getting too wet. A little personal behind the scenes here. Some of you have noted that my locations are sort of changing. What's happened is that I've actually moved. I had been in Southern California for years and years and years, in and out of there while we were filming the Waltons. I lived there. Then I went to Canada for 10 years. And then I was in Sacramento for 3 years. Then I was back in LA for, since 2005. So about 16 years. And then just recently, I moved up more to Northern California. So this is part of the new location that I now live in. So I'm experimenting around the new house with different places that I like the scenery of. So this may be my go-to because I kind of love the trees out there, living in an area with a lot of oak trees. So you'll get to explore perhaps a little bit of this new area with me. That's what I have for you for this segment of Ask Judy. I will be back with more behind the scenes of the Waltons. Thanks for watching. This is kind of like a blooper. See this guy? He keeps going back and forth, so I have to keep redoing shots so he's not in them.